Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagdalo sa aming webinar ngayong umaga entitled Strategies for Transitioning to the Online Teaching in the Sciences. And babatiin ko, ang dami akong nakitang nag-join, may mga taga Nueva Ecija, Masbate, Zamboanga, Tarlac. Yan, maraming salamat po at kayo ay dumalo ngayon sa aming webinar. So meron po tayong mga ipapatupad na ilang house rules. Okay. Joseph, ayan. So ito po, paalala sa ating mga manonood. Okay. You are on mute by default. This allows the presentation to move forward smoothly. Participants can unmute themselves after being addressed by the moderator during the Q&A portion. Use the raise hand function to speak. You can see the raise hand icon in the participants window at the bottom of your screen. We will take your questions and comments and answer them at the end of the webinar. Write your questions in the chat box or comment section if you are in the YouTube if you want to participate. Then there will be polls and active learning activities throughout the webinar. We highly encourage you to participate. So for those who are using your laptops, you can use your cell phones for these activities. But for those who are using their cell phones, so you just keep your cell phones, the Zoom on your cell phone. So hayaan na lang po natin yung iba for the participation. Okay. Then, all resources discussed in this webinar will be summarized and made available for you to download. Ipopost po namin yan sa KKPST webpage. Okay? Facebook page. This webinar is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. Okay. Next slide. Yeah. So, magandang umaga, magandang gabi, at magandang hapon kung nasaan mong lupalop po kayo. At marahil kayo ay nagtataka, no? Ako po yung nasa picture. Medyo na-distort lang po ang picture, kaya hindi niyo po ako medyo nakikilala dyan. Anyway, I am Dr. Catherine Anti Castillo Israel. Ang aking initials po ay Katsi, so I'm better known as Ma'am Katsi. I am from the Institute of Food Science and Technology, UPLB, and I will be your host for today. So just a little background, so tayo namang lahat, mga moms, mga sirs, alam ko nandiyan kayong lahat, ay nasa isang, kumbaga ay mahirap na sitwasyon dahil tayong lahat ay magta-transition to online teaching na bago, marami sa atin ay bago dito. And kahit kami dito sa UP Los Baños, hirap na hirap din po kami. Hindi pa po namin alam, nangangapa po kami kung ano po talaga ang magandang paraan para maituro pa rin ng tama yung ating mga leksyon. And marami pong mga balakid, like kagaya ko po, ako po ay nagre-recording ng aking mga lectures sa ngayon. And pag-araw, kahol ng kahol ng aso, kahit hindi niya concern, nakikitahol siya. So minsan ginawa ko sa gabi ako nag-recording, and problema naman sa gabi, may tuko. So napakahirap po. Kaya hayaan yung sa aming munting paraan ngayon ay makapag-share kami sa inyo, mga moms, mga sirs, ng mga paraan para mapabuti ang ating online teaching, at nagpapasalamat kami, pinaunlakan kami ng isang napakahusay na guro na dati rin naming kasamahan para mag-share sa inyo ng kanyang mga experiences. So, bago dyan, ito pong ating programa ngayon ay hatid sa inyo ng Kapisanang Kimika ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog Incorporated, Institute of Chemistry, UP Los Baños, at the Filipino Science Hub. So meron muna tayong konting opening remarks mula sa bawat isa. Unahin kong tawagin ang kasalukuyang President ng Kapisanang Kimika ng Pilipinas, si Professor Joseph Carmelo K. San Pascual.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Good morning po sa ating mga guests, especially sa ating pong guest speaker for this morning, Dr. Shelly Lansigan, sa Director ng Institute of Chemistry, Dr. Marivic Laksamana, sa team ng Filipino Science Hub na pinamumunuan ni Dr. Jeffrey Bunkin. Maraming salamat po sa pakikipag-isa or pakikipagtulungan sa KKPST para maihatid natin itong webinar na ito. Wini-welcome ko po lahat ng teachers all over the country, and meron din po tayong participants from different countries sa webinar na ito. Welcome po. And we hope that through this webinar po we will be continued to be inspired teaching our students despite our physical limitations because of this pandemic. Ayun po. So allow me to introduce sa inyo ang aming organization, Kapisanang Kimika ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog Incorporated. Ayan. Ayan po. So, the KKPST po, it was established in 1971 as the kapisanan ng mga kimiko ng Pilipinas or Chemical Society of the Philippines, Los Baños chapter. Then later, we expanded our linkages to institutions in the Southern Tagalog region, hence our present name, Kapisanang Kimika ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog Incorporated. We became registered po as a non-stock, non-profit association with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And we are also an accredited CPD provider by the Professional Regulation Commission. Ito po ang aming mga mission to encourage and promote the advancement of chemical science and technology in the Southern Tagalog area, to take an active role in the dissemination of knowledge in chemistry and its allied fields in the Southern Tagalog region through its various activities, such as holding of the annual convention and conducting of seminars, workshops, and trainings to serve the needs of the region and the country by making available its technical advice on assistance on matters relating to chemistry and its allied fields, to provide effective assistance to enable the programs and projects through which the association can effectively contribute to nation building through its assistance to schools and universities, as well as to the industrial and business sectors in the Southern Tagalog area, to maintain high standards of professional conduct among its members, and to promote close liaison and fellowship among its members and those in the other professional organizations for the advancement of science. Hindi po exclusive sa chemists and chemical technicians ang aming membership. We also have members who are science educators as long as they satisfy po yung criteria ng membership. So, siguro chance ko na rin to i-promote. If you wish to be a member of KKPST, you may contact us. We will be giving our contact details later before the end of the webinar. Our vision rather, we envision ourselves to be a dynamic and proactive organization committed to promote the recognition of the role of chemists and allied professionals and the advancement of chemistry towards a sustainable and progressive scientific community. Okay. We are guided by this mission, kaya po despite our limitations sa panahong ito, we still strive to be true to our mandate. Okay, mabuti po, meron tayong mga webinars ngayon na nagagamit. So we can still continue to promote scientific literacy and awareness, okay, for our members and for the science community. Ito po yung ilan sa aming mga activities. So we usually hold seminars and recently webinars throughout the year. This is usually in cooperation with the Institute of Chemistry of UP Los Baños. And well, ito nga po yung webinar natin today is our first webinar wherein we teamed up with the Filipino Science Hub. We also conduct teacher trainings. And then, of course, our annual convention, which holds different lectures, product presentations, and paper presentations. And then, allow me to introduce to you the members of the board. Ito po kami for this year. Kaya masayang samahan ng KKPST board. Kitang-kita naman po sa mga ngiti sa picture na yan. So yours truly po as president, Professor Arvin Paul Tuanyo as Vice President, Professor Ralph Loran Alumia as Secretary, Dr. Sherry Lozelle Ariola as Treasurer, Dr. Mary Antorio, our Auditor, Professor Elgin San Gabriel, PRO, and we have the members of the Board of Directors, Dr. Amelia Hizon Fradejas, Dr. May Joan Aguila, our immediate past President, Dr. Catherine Ann Castillo Israel, Dr. Maria Eva Idionco from LSPU, Santa Cruz, and Dr. Veronica Pimico. So ayan po. Again, we wish you a fruitful experience with this webinar. Sana po ay may matutunan tayong bago from this webinar at magamit po natin sa ating pagtuturo. Maraming salamat po.
Yan, maraming salamat sa aming presidente, El Presidente, si Professor San Pascual. Now I would like to call the director of the Institute of Chemistry coming from San Pedro, Laguna. Yan. Let's welcome Dr. Marivic S. Laksamana.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. The situation that we are in now that was brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Okay, let me start. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. The situation that we are in now that was brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic is full of uncertainties and challenges. Most of us in the teaching profession are faced with the huge task of transitioning from the face-to-face mode that we have been used to and comfortable with to the online remote teaching and learning. Knowing how we value our profession, acknowledge our responsibilities to our students, and care for their welfare, the preparations that we do for this modality of teaching all the more becomes daunting. But as the old saying goes, the show must go on. I am happy to note that after the initial fear of the new normal in teaching, it appears that we have now taken stock of the situation and are addressing it head on. This would not have been possible if not for the collective efforts of people in our profession. In this connection, I would like to commend the KKPST, a longtime partner of the UPLB Institute of Chemistry, for continuing with its mandate of taking an active role in the dissemination of chemistry and promoting the advancement of chemical science and technology, as well as individuals like our speaker for today who are very much willing to share their knowledge and experiences with respect to online, remote teaching and learning. If I may proudly say so, Dr. Michelle Lansigan, or Shelley, as she's fondly called in the Institute of Chemistry, is our graduate. To my colleagues in the teaching profession, let us continue with what we have started, and with support from each other, we can conquer the challenges that we are encountering now. Katulad nga po ng mga naririnig natin sa mga Korean novela, fighting. Again, good morning to everyone. Thank you and a fruitful webinar to each and everyone.
Thank
Salamat
you
po.
very much. Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Avig, and that was really enlightening for us, no, na ang inyong message. Now, I would like to call lastly one of the sponsors of this webinar, the founder of the Filipino Science Hub. He is currently at Houston, Texas, Dr. Jeffrey C. Bunkin.
Okay, salamat po Ma'am Katsi. Ang seryoso naman nun. Okay, so magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. So nandito po ako, bumabati po ako sa inyo galing sa Houston, Texas. So ako po si Jeffrey Bunkin. Ako po ang founder ng Filipino Science Hub. So siguro po karamihan ng ating mga tagapanood ngayon ay medyo familiar na po kasi halos linggo-linggo nyo na po nakikita ang mukha ko. Over the past 3 months na sinimulan po namin ang mga webinar series na ito at we're very privileged po para na makapag-collaborate with KPST and with our home institution, the Institute of Chemistry, UP Los Baños. So medyo fitting nga po na pagkatapos ng Avig, ako po yung mag-asalita kasi the team behind PhilSci Hub, lahat po kami ay mga anak ng Institute of Chemistry. Lahat po kami ay alumni. Hindi man po kami actively nagtuturo ngayon. Kami po ay nagpapahatid din ng tulong sa ating mga guro, sa aming mga munting pamamaraan. At yun po, ang makikita nyo pong lahat ng mga taong nagsama-sama sa araw na ito para po maghatid sa ating mga guro ng mga bagong aral, ng mga bagong pamamaraan kung paano po ba tayo mag-a-adapt dito sa bagong normal, ay isang malaking pamilya. Pamilya po kami ng iba't ibang henerasyon ng mga chemists, earth scientists na nagtapos sa UP Los Baños, particular na sa Institute of Chemistry, UPLB. Next slide po. Yun. So para po sa mga medyo hindi pa pamilyar sa Filipino Science Hub, so ang Filipino Science Hub po, ito po ay isang online platform na binuo ko at ng aking mga kaibigan noong 2012. Una po itong tinawag na Batangas City Science Teachers Hub. Dahil po ako'y Batanggenyo at ito po ay ginawa ko nung ako'y bumibisita galing sa aking pag-aaral sa Canada at nagbibigay ng tulong sa ating mga teachers po doon sa Batangas. So pag nito pong pandemic, nung nag-lockdown na po ang halos buong mundo, naisipan ko po na buhayin po uli at palawakin ang reach nitong page na ito. So yung mga kapatid ko po sa Institute of Chemistry, yung mga mukha po is nandyan, hindi ko na po sila mapapangalanan isa-isa. Nagsama-sama po kami para po muling pag-ibayuhin ang aming effort dito sa area na ito. At ang mandato po ng aming organisasyon is to promote the cultures of science, technology, engineering, mathematics among Filipino students. And ang nakikita po namin most effective way para po ma-achieve namin ang goal na ito is to empower our teachers. So kung ano man po siguro yung gap sa skills or sa grasp ng science ng STEM areas, yun po yung sanang gusto naming punuan sa tulong na rin po ng mga mas matataas na antas ng pag-aaral o mga universidad. Yun po ang gusto naming ihatid sa ating mga guro sa high school level at lalong-lalo na po sa mga estudyante. So gaya po ng lagi kong sinasabi, ito pong mga webinars na ginagawa namin ito ay panimula pa lamang sa medyo mas malawak pa po naming mga plano kung paano po namin gagamitin ang platformang ito para mas matulungan po natin ang ating mga guro at mag-aaral. At hopefully in the future po, mas makapag-produce pa tayo ng mas malaking henerasyon ng mga bata, ng mga Pilipino na nasa STEM area para po mas umunlad po ang ating bansa. Ayun po, sana po ay mag-enjoy kayo sa ating webinar ngayon. At napakagaling po ng ating speaker ngayon. So maraming salamat po ulit.
Yan. Thank you very much, Jeff. Yeah, so nagpapasalamat kami at nakapag-partner kami sa Filipino Science Hub, no, dahil napakalawak ng sakop ng Filipino Science Hub. So bago po tayo bago magsimula ang ating speaker, ay ipapakilala ko muna siya sa inyo. Okay, so our speaker for today is a mother of two, a wife, a Filipina scientist, and an academician. She obtained her BS chemistry degree from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños in 2002. In the same year, she joined the faculty of the Institute of Chemistry, UPLB, as a chemistry laboratory instructor, where she handled general and physical chemistry courses. In 2005, she pursued her PhD in chemistry at Georgetown University, Washington, D.C., USA. She performed her doctoral research under the tutelage of Professor Sarah L. Stoll and, as a result, invented metal oxo-containing polymer nanobeads as potential contrast agents for magnetic resonance imaging. After graduating in 2011, she joined Case Western University in Ohio, USA, as a postdoctoral fellow and ventured into magnetic polymers development for a range of medical applications. In 2013, she was appointed as a professorial lecturer at the American University in Washington, D.C., where she taught various chemistry courses at the college level. In recognition of her effectiveness and ingenuity in chemical education, she was promoted to the senior professorial lecturer in 2009. Our speaker is truly a great example of a Filipina in the sciences. She has authored 7 international publications, presented papers in various conferences and workshops, developed numerous curriculum contents and teaching tools, and received accolades both as an academic and as a scientist. On top of all this, she generously shares her passion for teaching through outreach activities and non-paid extension programs. So, without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Michelle Pablico Lansigan.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Katsi, for that very kind introduction. I really appreciate it. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I am very honored to be here today. So let me just share my screen real quick before I begin. Okay, muli, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I am very honored to be here at bago po ako magsimula, gusto ko po munang magpasalamat sa Kapisanan ng Kimiko ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog Chapter, sa Institute of Chemistry at saka po sa Filipino Science Hub for inviting me to give this webinar. I am very delighted to see a lot of teachers in attendance today. I'm very eager to learn about teaching online in the sciences. So I really hope you learn something new from me today. So again, welcome po sa inyong lahat. All throughout my webinar, I'll be delivering polls and surveys. So kung nasa computer po kayo, you can just simply open in your browser to access the surveys. Kung naka-phone po kayo, pwede pa rin naman po kayong sumali, but you will have to have a piece of pen and paper to write down the website and the PIN number to enter this polls. So we'll do that in a few minutes. So again, welcome po sa inyong lahat. And as what Professor Israel has mentioned, I am a term faculty at American University. I have been teaching there since 2013. And since 2015, I have been teaching online. So over the years, na-improve ko po yung craft ko, and I have developed certain tips and best practices to enhance the learning experience of my students in an online environment. So American University is a student-centered research institution located in Washington, D.C., USA. Our campus is located in the residential area of Washington, D.C. We have about 14,000 students, and we have students from all over the world, so all across 124 countries. So this is the department, we have about 8 schools and over 170 programs. and the Department of Chemistry is housed under the College of Arts and Sciences. So this is the Department of Chemistry. We are a very small department. Very close-knit po kami. We only have 12 faculty, 7 are tenure line, and then 5 are term. Kasama po ako sa term faculty. So AU students, AU chemistry students benefit from having a very close interaction with their academic advisors and research mentors. And as you can see, our students are able to train on sophisticated equipment, develop their own research studies, and then also help us reshape our courses. So itong arrow po na to, kung saan nagpo-point po at this building, this is our new building, and this is called the Hall of Science. Construction just finished a little over a month ago. So busy po kami. Aside from transitioning all our courses online, we are moving our offices, getting our labs ready, and thinking about logistics kung paano po yung social distancing when our students come back in the fall. But today, I will focus on online teaching. So we are in a very difficult time. This is unprecedented time. And as we all know, teaching during a pandemic is already very hard. But teaching science during a pandemic makes it even more challenging. So why is it challenging? It's because most of our science courses have a laboratory component. So kung iisipin natin, it's very difficult to translate our lab experiments virtually. So paano natin ma-assess yung kanilang hard skills, yung pagpapipette, pagpuput together ng instruments, hindi natin masyadong ma-assess yon sa online environment. So what I plan to do today is to give you some ideas, best practices, and tips para ma-apply nyo po sa courses nyo. So when the pandemic hit, our schools were closed. Students went home to their provinces, and we were basically forced to put all our courses into online instruction. So fortunately for me, ma-experience po ako kung paano mag-handle ng online courses, pero karamihan po sa atin, wala. And I could just imagine kung gaano kahirap yon na wala tayong experience sa ganitong modality, we will just be forced to move all our courses online. So just to give you a timeline again of what happened, i-share ko sa inyo yung nangyari sa amin sa American University. So ang spring break namin was about March 9 to 15. So on March 10th, we received an email from the president saying that following spring break, so spring break dapat babalik na kami ng March 15. Following spring break, American University will shift to online classes for 3 weeks. So initially for 3 weeks lang, but the following day, March 11th, the World Health Organization announced that COVID-19 is now a pandemic. So in less than 24 hours, we received another email saying that we will now continue online classes throughout the rest of the semester. There will be no more on-campus instruction, and all courses will be completed remotely. So that was a drastic change. So in 1 week, we were forced to put all our brains together para po ma-transfer yung courses online. So in that 1 week, we were given a lot of support. We were given a lot of workshops, and a lot of workshops on online teaching. So some of the workshops I attended include student engagement in the virtual classroom, effective communication with our students in the online classroom, teaching with OERs. So I will discuss this more in a few minutes. Assessment strategies for remote courses, recording video lectures, and research-based practices for online instruction. So what I plan to do today is gather all of the information I learned from these workshops. So share them in terms of ideas, helpful tips, strategies, and best practices. So bago po tayo mag-proceed, I'd like to have a quick survey. So punta po tayo sa mentimeter.com. Punta po kayo sa www.menti.com and isulat nyo po itong code na ito, 830317. Meron po akong short survey. So 830317, punta po tayo sa menti.com. All right, ang first question is, have you taught online before? So Pipili lang po kayo ng isang option, yes or no, and tingnan natin kung ano yung general na experience ng ating audience. So we'll give this about maybe 2 minutes. So I will talk about Mentimeter in a few minutes as well, but this is a free tool that you can use to increase engagement in your synchronous classes. Let's give that a few more seconds. So sa nakikita po natin sa results, karamihan po sa atin ay hindi pa nakakapagturo online. So I could just imagine how you feel. So I hope my webinar will give you some ideas kung paano po i-translate yung courses nyo online. All right. So I think the results are quite stable, about 80-20%. So 80% have not taught online before, and then 20% have had some experience teaching online. So there's a follow-up question. So this is a word cloud. Ita-type nyo po, what comes to your mind when you hear the words online learning? Okay, so let's use appropriate words. Ano po yung pumapasok sa isip nyo kapag narinig yung salitang online learning? So this is called a word cloud, and basically it tells you kung ano yung perception ng estudyante nyo sa isang topic. So the bigger the text, it means that a lot of people are also writing that word. So right now, yung pinakamalaking text is internet. So I know na lahat tayo, pag sinabing online teaching, kailangan meron tayong internet or gagamit tayo ng internet. So let's just wait for a few minutes here. So humahabol ang technology at saka challenging and virtual learning. Okay, so this is a nice app or a tool to use for your online classes. And it's also quite engaging to help your students remain in the class. All right. Okay, so I think it's, we can stop right there. So I think majority of you said internet, di ba? So pag sinabing online teaching, internet yung pumapasok sa isip natin. And it is actually true. For any online course to be successful, we really need an internet connection, and we need technology, laptops, tablets, o kaya cellphones para maging successful tayo mag-deliver ng ating courses online. All right, so knowing that, what will you learn today? So gusto ko pong magbigay ng learning outcomes para sa ating webinar. So at the end of this webinar, I hope you will have an understanding of how to shift your face-to-face courses, specifically science, to online mode, how to maximize student engagements and ensure that they learn in an online setting. So I'll be showing tips kung paano po natin ma-maintain yung attention ng ating mga estudyante. And then some best practices in designing your course page or your learning management system for optimum learning. And finally, how to communicate with your students to build an online learning community. So hopefully po pagkatapos po ng webinar, magamit na niyo yung mga tips na ni-share ko para ma-fulfill po itong mga learning outcomes na ito. Alright, so bago po tayo mag-put together, before we even put together our courses, we have to think first, how will you implement your online class? Will you do it asynchronously or synchronously? So what do these terms even mean? So when we say asynchronous, lectures or activities are pre-recorded. So na-record na natin yung lectures natin at i-share natin sa mga estudyante. The advantage of asynchronous classes is that this is self-paced. So you offer your students the flexibility to pace themselves when interacting with elements of your course and doing the assessments. The downside is there is no real-time interaction. So if the students have questions, they will not have an immediate response nor a quick feedback. And another thing is that students in asynchronous classes, they sometimes feel isolated because they don't have this connection with their professors nor connection with their fellow students. So those are just some of the pros and cons. So you can post digital documents, you can have recorded videos, and if your learning management system has discussion boards, you can do online discussion. So pwedeng mag-usap-usap yung mga estudyante as a form of collaboration in this asynchronous setting. On the other hand, pag sinabi pong synchronous, it means that this happens in real time. The sessions are live. So there is a set time that all students must meet. Ang kagandahan po ng synchronous learning, there is high interaction with the instructor and other learners, and they get to meet their fellow classmates as well, and you can have collaborative activities. And since the instructor is present, the learner questions are answered immediately, and there is immediate feedback as well. So you can do this via Zoom, gaya po na ginagamit natin ngayon. You can present your PowerPoint slides live. You can do live polling, gaya po na example ko kanina. You can do live quizzes. I'll show an example again in a few minutes. And you can do group activities or what we call as breakout groups, which I will explain more in a few minutes as well. All right, so isang poll ulit tayo. Okay. So, ang tanong naman sa poll na to, how will you implement your online classes? Knowing na yung definition ng asynchronous or synchronous instruction or combination ba? So, let me share a poll here. Okay, so sa nakikita po natin sa results. So I will end the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'll end the poll and I will share the results. So can everybody see the results? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see the results. Jeff, can you see the results on the screen?
Yes po.
Okay, all right. So as we can see here, 13% are doing their classes asynchronously, 7% synchronous, but the majority, they're doing combination. And ito ang gusto kong sabihin. Pag po combination, that is actually a winning combination. Yan po yung sinasabi nila. So ba't ko sinabi yon? Kasi pag meron kang asynchronous courses, it means that you already gave your students yung kanilang recorded material. So they are now able to view the lectures, they're able to view your videos, they're able to read ahead. Pag naman nag-synchronous classes kayo, aside from the asynchronous session, it means that yung mga estudyante nyo, kung may questions sila about your material, they can easily engage with you. So if you have the capability and you have the resources, yung asynchronous and asynchronous combination, it's a winning combination. All right. Okay, so some terms that you might encounter when you hear the word online teaching and dyan yung online learning. So this is learning through the internet. About 80% is learned on any type of device in real time or through recorded or written information. So pag sinabi namang distance learning, this is a way of learning from anywhere without needing to be in regular face-to-face contact with the teacher or instructor. So ang kaibahan po ng dalawa, sa distance learning, hindi necessarily kailangan may internet or hindi necessarily kailangan may computer. Dito po pumapasok yung pagbibigay natin ng modules sa mga estudyante. Doon po pumapasok yung distance learning. Pag sinabi namang blended learning, this is a combination of both face-to-face and online learning. We call this as hybrid. So before the pandemic, ganito po yung classes ko. I teach my lectures face-to-face, and then my students come to campus to do the hands-on lab experiments. And then right now, we hear the word HyFlex. So HyFlex stands for hybrid flexible. So each course is built to give students a choice to attend either in person or online. So choice ng estudyante kung a-attend siya in person or online. So sa American University po, majority of our courses are delivered in a HyFlex mode. So paano po gagawin yon? So ang gagawin nila, The professor will come to class with a few number of students in the classroom kasi kailangan may social distancing. Then there will be a camera that will stream the video of the lecture going live. So parang nandun din yung estudyante. So yung bawang estudyante na nasa China or nasa Puerto Rico o nasa ibang parte ng Amerika, parang nakasabay pa rin po sila sa lecture. So this is what majority of our classes at AU will look like this coming fall. So ngayon, alam nyo na kung paano i-deliver yung courses nyo asynchronous or asynchronously. What makes a well-designed online course? So sa mga hindi pa po nakakapagturo online, tatandaan nyo po ang 3 C's. So there's content, context, and connection. Importante po yung 3 letters na yan. 3 C's na yan. So content, how will you deliver content to students in the easiest and most accessible way? So others would use a learning management system or LMS, or pwedeng i-email nila yung materials nila, they will use social media and so on. You also have to think about how will students engage with that content. Paano nila i-access yung course materials mo at paano sila sasagot dun sa course material, so course content. In terms of context, how can you provide context in an online environment? So sa face-to-face classes, pag may tanong yung estudyante natin, we can easily clarify in terms of instructions, for example. But in an online classroom, we have to be very clear about our instructions. So for example, this is the due date for your assignment. Ito yung instructions. We have to be very explicit. We have to be very clear. And then finally, connection. How will you communicate with your students? How will students communicate and work with each other? So this is actually very important. Yung connection, mahalagang mahalaga po siya. Kasi sa online class, parang nawawala expression, tumatawa ba sila? Pero sa online course, medyo mahirap yon. So we have to exert extra effort on how to establish connection with our students. Okay, so knowing that, unahin natin yung unang C. So ito yung content creation and delivery. Okay, so meron ulit tayong isang poll dito. So again, you will just use Zoom. Okay, gusto kong malaman if your school has a learning management system or an LMS. Meron po ba kayo nito sa inyong institutions? Kasi importante po ang LMS para meron tayong venue para sa repository po ng ating course materials. All right, so karamihan po sa atin merong LMS. I will end the poll in about 10 seconds again, so I can share the results with all of you. Okay, I will end the poll, and here are the results. So majority of our schools have a learning management system, and this is great because it means that we have a way to put our course materials together and have our students interact with the course content. So this is actually very good. Pag po wala kayong learning management
Shelly, nawawala ka.
can you hear me now?
Apo. Ate Shelly, nag-cut po dun sa part na pag dun sinasabi nyo na kung wala silang learning management
Okay.
system.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So kung wala kayong learning management system, andyan po yung
At nawawala
Wala
po
na
na
ulit.
Ate Shelly.
Shelly?
Apo.
podcasts, lecture notes, PowerPoints, mga discussion boards natin, and podcasts. Kung meron po tayong LMS, we also have a way of delivering assessments like yung exams natin, quizzes, assignments, at dito na sila magsasubmit ng kanilang mga assessments. Sa learning management system din, we are able to communicate with our students. Our students are also able to communicate with each other. So this is important to build community among our students as well. So some LMS that you might have heard, we have Blackboard. So yung Blackboard po ang ginagamit namin sa AU ngayon. I think Blackboard Course Sites is the free version where you can try it out first. Canvas is also a good one. So at American University, we are transitioning. Lilipat po kami sa Canvas in the next few months. So we are very busy thinking about online classes, moving to a new building, and transitioning to a new LMS. So wish us luck. Google Classroom, this is also free. I have a 6-year-old child, and their school uses Google Classroom, and this is also very good. There's also D2L, My iCourse, Moodle. UP Los Baños has LB, very witty, e-learning based instruction, and UP Diliman has Oblet. So when you have an LMS, it is also very important na i-organize po natin yung content ng maayos. Kasi kumbaga, when students log in to their course pages, ito po yung first impression na kine-create natin. So it is important na maayos po yung pagkaka-layout natin ng ating course. So may share ako sa inyo. We call this as the worst course ever. And this was shared to us at one of the workshops that I attended. Ito po yung wag nating gagawin when we put together our course pages. So let me share that with
Ate Shelly,
Professor
nawala
is
po
not.
uli yung audio.
What about now?
It's okay, it's working po.
It's okay. All right. Thank you, Joseph. Again, so ito yung worst course ever. So when you look at the course page, as you can see, wala pong announcements. So kumbaga, walang engagement yung professor sa mga estudyante niya. Anong gagawin nila? When you log in, you have no idea where to find things and what to do. Right? So ang color combination pati is very odd, medyo masakit sa mata. So we have to make sure that when students log into their course pages, it's welcoming and easy to the eyes and easy to navigate. So if you look at the tabs right here, let's go to information. There is a syllabus, but the color combination is again very distracting. And as we all know, a syllabus is your contract between you and your student. So dapat malinaw yung nakalatag dito. But there's no clear instruction. So syllabus crafting, that's a different webinar again, but this is something that you should not really do. Color combination again is off. Tapos may picture na walang instructions kung anong gagawin. And there's another tab for syllabus. So medyo magulo siya. And then the content, hindi natin alam kung ano yung gagawin ng estudyante. Nakakalito. So this is not a good way to put your course page together. And I would just like to emphasize one more thing. If you notice, the professor has office hours, but it's by appointment. In an online class, that will not work. Kasi yung estudyante, hindi sila lalapit sa'yo. But if you have a set time, that will just allow you to have a devoted time just to be with your students. So please make sure that you set your office hours. So in designing or layout, pag-layout nyo ng inyong course pages, what would an exceptional online classroom be like? Dapat ito po ay organized. Meron tayong tabs at nakaspecify po kung ano yung, kumbaga, madaling i-navigate yung course pages natin. The online classroom should include your course materials, information about the instructor, information about what to do for that particular week or chapter. It should feel very welcoming, yung maayos po sa mata, and it should promote, kumbaga, yung pagiging organized at saka yung pagiging maayos na pagmamanage ng time. So you have to be explicit on that. So babalikan ko lang po yung site na to because I would like to share what I did for my classes. So this is my class this summer. So as you can see, I have a course nararamdaman nila na connected ka pa rin sa kanila. So I always send them email reminders about deadlines, what to do for the week. I give so on Monday, I give a short video kung ano yung topic namin for this week at ano yung gagawin nila. And then when the assessment is due, I also give out another email reminder. So I have here tabs that are clear, and I arrange my lectures weekly, in a weekly manner. So pwede po mag-vary ito, depende sa ano yung mas makabubuti sa inyo. Pwede nyo i-arrange per chapter, per unit, kayo po ang bahala. Basta po, organized yung pagkakalagay natin. And then sa course page, I have here a short introduction video about what my course will be about. Paano i-navigate yung Blackboard page para hindi sila nalilito. One of the best practices I've learned from our workshops, when you post your syllabus, have your students, mag-ready po tayo ng isang file that is readily downloadable and a file that is easily accessible. So ito po, may PDF file ako, tapos meron po akong kumbaga picture or yung naka-embed na po para isang tingin lang nila nandoon na. And then I also have my course schedule right there. I have a short profile just for them to get to know me. And then I also posted tips for my students to follow. Kumbaga best practices po para sa kanila. And then for my office hours, I have them do a sign-up sheet. So I use a Google spreadsheet for this. And I have office hours now, isa sa morning at isa sa gabi because I have students overseas. So for example, my class would meet at 10 a.m. May estudyante ako na nasa China, that's 10 p.m. their time. So I have to accommodate. So it will be quite time-consuming and medyo extra effort po. But at this time, we really have to accommodate our students. So I have 15-minute time blocks for them. And then they simply sign up their names. So I erased some of them already, but they simply sign up their names. So I know what time they are coming. So hindi po ako magbababad sa Zoom ng matagal at naghihintay sa kanila. At hindi na sila maghihintay, walang nag-overlap na estudyante because they know what time to log in. So that's one of the tips that I could share with you about that as well. I have my Zoom meeting right there. The lab materials are here. And again, the weekly lecture materials are here. Let's try to select week 3. So week 3, we're talking about fingerprints. And then the students know that they have a discussion board to submit and a video quiz as well. So basically, ang bottom line is you have to be organized. And parang pagpasok ng estudyante sa ating learning management system, they know what to do, they know where to find things. Ayun po. And so meron ka ng learning management system, how then do you get your content together? Where do you find materials? So most of us, we use PowerPoints, right? So before the pandemic, meron na naman tayong lecture. But in an online class, it's also advisable that you vary your media. So pwede kang maglagay ng short videos, pwede kang maglagay ng short video lecture mo na ikaw yung nagle-lecture. One of the best practices I've learned is do not post lengthy videos na 60 minutes long. Kasi yung attention span po ng estudyante natin, hindi nila kakayanin yung ganun katagal. So what I advise is cut up your videos into like 10-15 minute blocks at saka i-post nyo po ng paisa-isa. So they would have, parang kumbaga, hindi po siya masyadong lengthy. Yung attention span na 10 to 15 minutes is ideal for optimal learning para po sa ating mga estudyante. So going back to putting content together, I'm a big fan of open educational resources. So we call this as OER, and these are free and openly licensed educational materials. So sa panahon ngayon, mahirap ang finances, instead na bibili pa yung mga estudyante natin ng libro, let's refer them to OER. So these are free educational materials that you can use. So there's open textbook library. My favorite is OpenStax, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. There's also BCC Campus. So let me show OpenStax po dito. So again, libre po ito. Peer-reviewed, openly licensed, and free. And ang kagandahan nito, there's a wide variety of subjects that you get to choose from. And pwede rin kung depende sa estudyante mo, high school or college, andyan po lahat yan. So for example, let's go to chemistry kasi chemistry po ang tinuturo ko. So you can go to that. You can download a PDF of the whole book. You can look at the table of contents. basahin nyo po from the website. And ang pinakagusto ko po dito, meron po siyang instructor resources. So if you click on that, for you to be able to access the instructor resources, you have to make an account and it's free. So gagawa lang po tayo ng account. Sa instructor resources, you have PowerPoint slides. So I personally use this myself and I just tweak it to cater to my own teaching styles and to my own designs. Pero yung content po, meron na po sila dito. You will just download it. Sa lectures po, sa textbook chapters po, meron din po ng mga quiz questions or exams. And meron pong instructor solutions manual. At meron din pong test items na pwede nating gamitin. Meron din pong syllabus language na pwede nating idagdag sa ating syllabus. At meron pong mga customizable Google Forms that you can use in your classes. So this is really my favorite OER site kasi andyan na po lahat. And again, it's free and we can share this with our students. And it has a plethora of subjects. So math, science, social studies, and a lot more. Gusto ko rin po mag-embed ng short videos sa aking learning management system. So mag-share ng videos. Favorite ko naman is TED-Ed. So let me share that real quick. Sa TED-Ed po, the videos are short. So as you can see, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, perfect po sa attention span ng ating mga estudyante. This is applicable to all grade levels, elementary to college. Very applicable po yung videos nila. So for example, you want to search, like that chemistry. Ayan, meron siyang chemistry of cookies, paano nagwo-work yung cold packs. I share this with my classes kasi when I teach stoichiometry, students have, a difficult time grasping kung ano ba yung mole. And this video just really dissects that and gives the student a very good perception kung ano ba yung dinidiscuss nating concept ng mole. They have a lot more why don't oil and water mix. So it's very catchy. It's a very short video and you can easily embed that in your courses. Khan Academy is also another site that you can use. These are longer videos, but it shows detailed calculations, very lengthy explanations, and it's also for free. So now that you know where to gather materials para sa inyong online classes, paano naman yung pagpe-prepare ng lecture materials? So yung PowerPoint slides natin. So as you can see, hindi po ako gumagamit ng PowerPoint. I use Canva. So yung Canva po, meron po siyang free version which has a lot of features already. I have the paid version pero po pag po yung free, madami din po kayong pwedeng gawin. And it's very catchy. The colors are nagpop-up talaga sila at saka very professional looking po yung slides nyo. You can also go to Slides Carnival. And let me just open that. So sa Slides Carnival, there are free PowerPoint templates and Google Slides that you can use for your presentation. So it also gives you a smooth, streamlined, and professional look sa inyong presentations. It's also very engaging and catchy for our students. Hindi po siya boring tingnan. So yun po yung kagandahan ng mga ito. Okay. So, meron ka ng lectures, alam mo na kung paano isa-set up yung learning management system mo, meron ka ng mga textbook for your students. How then do you record? Kasi when you present, you basically capture the screen of your computer. Pwede rin mag-embed ng ating faces. Pero yung video recording po, marami po tayong libre na software na magagamit. So, nilista ko po dito, OBS Studio. Let me show that to you real quick. OBS Studio is free and open source. So, pwede pong magamit sa Windows, sa Mac, and sa Linux. May isa pa po tayo dito. Isa ding maganda is Screencastify. So, libre din po siya. You just add it to the Chrome browser and pwede pong mag voice over as you go on with your PowerPoint presentation at pwede rin pong i-embed yung webcam ninyo. So this is all you need to put together your video materials, your video lectures. Okay, so speaking of videos, paano naman po yung best practices sa pag-record ng videos natin? So I have here a video ng isang teacher na nagtuturo ng chemistry. So one thing that you could do when you record your videos is you have to look into the camera. So para meron ka pa rin connection sa inyong mga estudyante. Next thing is you have to fill the screen. So wag po tayo sa gilid, wag po tayo masyadong nakatungo, wag po masyadong nakatingala. So i-level po natin yung ating computer kung saan po tayo magra-record. And then finally, isa rin pong importante, we should be well lit. So dapat po may ilaw tayo. Maganda po ang lighting para po kita yung mukha natin, yung facial expressions natin, para po mag-build tayo ng connection. So your light should be in front, hindi po sa likod, para hindi po madilim yung ating mga mukha. So ayun po, meron na tayong lectures. Paano naman yung lab? So this is the biggest problem. What about the lab component? Paano yun? Paano i-assess yung skills ng ating mga estudyante? So I'll be very honest with you. There's not much that we can do. There's not much that can be done about labs in the short term. So wala pa pong best practices pagdating dito. We are all pioneers in this field at this point kasi nga po, this is an unprecedented time. But we just do the best that we can. So I'll share some ideas in a few minutes. So before the pandemic, may mga online programs po here in the US that they bring the science majors to campus to do the lab experiments face-to-face. So talagang pag science majors ka, kailangan mo talaga ng face-to-face components to do the labs. For other courses like yung general science or non-science majors, minsan may kits po na nabibili that they can do the labs at home. But this is not always possible to implement at all times. May kamahalan po yung iba, hindi po ma-ship sa ibang lugar. Others have suggested that we put the kits together ourselves, pero mahirap po yun kasi merong magkakaroon ng liability issues, kailangan po ng lawyers. So medyo hindi po medyo worthwhile yung tayo po mismo yung gagawa ng kits. So when we think about the lab, whatever level we have, grade school, high school, or college level, we should rethink how we do science lab classes online. So there's this article from InsideHigherEd.com, and they said that for online labs to be successful, we have to rework our objectives. So unang-una, yung objective natin para sa mga estudyante natin, they should learn how to propose new scientific experiments. So we know that every scientist needs to know how to design a research proposal. So medyo magiging creative po tayo sa ating mga assessments. Gagawa sila ng proposal para mag-design ng scientific experiment. So wala man sila sa lab para gawin yung experiment na yon, pero in theory, natitrain pa rin natin sila. So pwede silang maggawa ng research about ano bang effect ng caffeine sa ganito, paano magde-design ng experiments. So magiging creative po tayo sa ating mga assessments. Second objective is that students should learn how to review the literature. So chemical literacy is very important at this time, and they should learn how to critically read peer-reviewed journals. So para matuto sila mag-analyze ng data as well, at kung paano maging up-to-date po sa mga recent na breakthroughs, new scientific modalities, para po maging aware sila at magamit nila yon sa pagpo-propose ng research projects. So that's another objective that we can do. Third one is they should learn how to design complex research experiments. So this ties up nicely to the first objective. So again, if we want our students to really embrace science, they should learn how to craft research experiments, how to design experiments, starting from the research question to the hypothesis, set experimental design, and what they expect of the results. And then fourth, learn how to analyze experimental data. So what we did at American University sa isa naming course, we gave them a simulation and then we gave them experimental data that they analyze. So wala man sila sa pagkuha ng data, but they are able to gather that data and analyze it. Kasi data analysis and interpretation is also another skill that our science students should learn. And then finally, learn by teaching others. So once you have the classmates, and then they learn from each other. So we can do the presentation via Zoom. We can also have them do posters that they upload or they share with others. So those are some of the things that we can do about the lab. For other grade levels, we can also do kitchen-based or at-home experiments. So I'm going to show you one here. This is from the ACS website. So they have these experiments: colors on the move, diapers, time for slimes, energy on the move. So these are for our elementary and high school teachers, but this can also be applicable for higher level courses. We just have to tweak it a little bit. So these are home-based experiments. So yung mga gagamitin nila, ayan po, pencil lang, Ziploc, coffee filter, inks, diapers, detergent, glue, pag-make ng slime, and so on. So these are things that we find in the house. They are safe, and we can definitely use this so they have that partial hands-on experience in their own homes. We can also give them virtual simulations. So one very famous site for this virtual simulation is PhET Colorado. So sa simulations, marami po dyan. So this is more or less for higher level science courses. So may physics and chemistry. So punta tayo sa physics, for example. They have simulations here, and the students can play around. So makakakuha sila ng data kahit papano. And you can work around your post-lab for these types of simulations. So for the class that I taught over the summer, we did a combination of simulation and we also provided data to our students. I mentioned about kits before. So again, these are companies who ship kits to students where they can do hands-on labs in their own homes. And then another thing we could do is to provide students with raw data for analysis. So any combination of at-home experiment, simulation, and giving raw data, for now, that will suffice na in place dun sa lab, sa actual hands-on lab experience ng ating mga estudyante. So we've covered lecture, we've covered lab. It would be also good, as I mentioned, to have synchronous meetings with our students. So as I mentioned kanina, asynchronous and asynchronous is a very good combination in dealing with your online classes. So importante rin sa ating live classes, importante ang engagement. So pag-engage ang mga estudyante natin, we can assess if they are actually learning, nare-retain ba yung information. So how do we maximize engagement? So one of the best practices that I've learned is that you engage your students every 8 minutes. Ideally, medyo mahirap pong gawin, pero every 8 minutes, there should be something new that we are doing. So kanina, we had polls, so you can have an icebreaker every once in a while, or you can do body responses. So anong ibig kong sabihin doon? So kanina tinanong ko si Jeff, naririnig mo ba ako? So just give me a thumbs up. That is a simple body response. So you can ask your students to simply do a thumbs up, thumbs down, or ganon, depende sa anong pagkakainin nila sa subject, and you can have an instant visual understanding kung ano yung level of engagement ng ating mga estudyante. But I'm going to share some apps here or tools that you can use, and these are free again. So you can use an online poll. So kanina, gumamit po ako ng Mentimeter. So ang Mentimeter po, it's a free tool that you can use. Let me just see if I can go to that website. So this is free. Ito po yung ginamit ko kanina, online teaching survey. So all you need to do is make an account. As I mentioned, it's free. You make a new presentation. So let's say this is a test presentation. Create presentation. So halimbawa, magagawa tayo, pipili kayo ng anong question type ninyo. Multiple choice, word cloud, and so on. So let's say gagawa tayo ng multiple choice. Gagawa tayo ng tanong. What is your, very simple lang, favorite color, for example, among these? So let's say gagawa tayo ng red, ng blue. This is a very simple question. What is your favorite color among the ones listed here? You can put an image beside that, and then pwede rin po nating ma-download yung results afterwards. So you can also customize it based on what you want, and then you can now present it. And yun po yung nakita nyo kaninang poll na binigay ko. So ito po yung Mentimeter, it's free. There's a paid version where you can play around with a lot of other features, but the free version I think is sufficient. You can also present here. Pwede po kayong gumawa ng PowerPoint slides, sort of PowerPoint slides dito, and parang one-stop shop na siya. So you can have a survey for each slide just to assess how your students are learning. Zoom po yung ginagamit ko sa ating online instruction, and there are definitely Zoom polls that we can use. So sa Zoom polls, if you are the host, you can see this in your screen. So makikita nyo po doon yung polling. So if you click on that, appear po ito. So merong question. So you write your question. You can have your students choose a single answer or select from multiple choices. You click save. And then pag ready na po kayo i-launch yung poll, balik po tayo dito sa polling na button dito. And then hit launch poll. And then ayun na po, malalaunch na po yung poll ninyo, and your students are able to answer and you can share the results. So this can be, yung questions po na ilalagay nyo dito can be talking points, or pwede pong survey kung ano po yung pagkakaintindi nila sa isang material. So if you think your students are not understanding much based on their responses, then you can go back and reinforce that particular concept. Another thing that we can do is a live quiz. So meron po ulit akong ipapagawa sa inyo. My go-to for live quizzes is Kahoot. So ito po, libre din po itong Kahoot. So i-click po natin itong Kahoot. So this is what Kahoot will look like. Babalik lang po ako saglit. Let's try one live quiz right here. Okay. Saglit lang po. Alright. So ang hihinaan ko po ng konti. So punta po kayo sa kahoot.it sa inyong browser. Tapos i-enter nyo po itong pin na to. So this is a live quiz. Pwede pong i-record ninyo yung scores ng estudyante. You can download their scores enter their names.
Ma'am Shelly, I'm sorry, medyo
Yes.
nawala yung audio ulit.
Am I back?
Yes po,
Okay.
doon sa part po ng Kahoot.
Okay, so this is Kahoot. This is a free tool that you can use for online quizzes. So ito pong survey na ito, this is a quiz. Pwede pong recorded ninyo or pwede pong hindi. Kasi at the end po, pwede nyo pong ma-download yung results as an Excel spreadsheet. So your students will sign up, as you can see here. The names are being shown. And then mata-download nyo po yung results. You can give a score for each student. And pwede rin pong group work to. One device per group or one device per person, it will also work out. So we have 96 players. So let's just say, let's have it reach about 100. Okay, so I'm gonna start. So chemist po ako. So ang first question ko ay chemistry. So ganito pong mangyayari. Yung iba po hindi nyo po kita sa cellphone nyo, ang makikita nyo po is diamond, triangle, circle, and square. So pipiliin nyo po doon. I will dictate the question. What is the chemical symbol of carbon? So kapag po triangle lang pinili nyo, that is Ca. Kapag diamond, Co. Circle is C. Square is Cr. So again, Ca is triangle. CO is diamond, C is circle, and CR is square. So I set this to about 2 minutes. So you can set the time para po sa inyong mga estudyante. Okay. So we'll just wait for the time to be over para po mag-release yung results. So lagi ko po itong ginagamit not only for my online classes but also for my face-to-face classes, kasi pag nakita ko po na maraming mali ang sagot, I go back and reinforce that particular concept. Kapag mga 90% po tama, I move on. So maganda po siyang way to make sure that our students are actually learning. So let's have a few more seconds, so about less than a minute. Okay, so there's 10 seconds. All right, so the correct answer is C. So as you can see, a lot of our participants are able to answer that. So a lot of our students, for example, are able to answer that. So we can explain why, kung problem ito, and you can move on, or you can go back and explain it again. So let's have another question. So si Belia ang nangunguna. So ibig sabihin, siya yung naunang nag-respond, and you can assign points as well at the beginning. Next question, you can have a true or false question. Synchronous learning happens in real time. So kapag blue, that's true. Kapag false, that's red. So I gave this another 2 minutes. So let's just wait for our audience to finish responding. So pwede po natin i-adjust tong time depending on the problem. So I gave this 2 minutes to allow the participants to go to Kahoot and enter the code. But if you are in the classroom and students are now used to this polling software, it will be very easy. So for this true or false questions, typically I just give them 10 seconds. All right. So majority of our attendees got it right. Synchronous learning happens in real time. Asynchronous yung hindi nag-happen in real time. So yan po ang Kahoot. It's very easy to make an account. I'm not logged in right now, but it's very easy to make an account. It's free. And you have a lot of other ways, other types of questions. So meron siyang survey, meron pong multiple choice, meron true or false. And this is a very good way to assess student learning. Last one is we can also do breakout rooms. I cannot do it with you guys right now because there's a lot of us. It will just be very chaotic. But breakout rooms is a feature on Zoom. And basically what it does is that it divides the participants into individual rooms. So if you go into Zoom, if you are the host, you can go to breakout rooms and you can divide your students into, let's say, 10 groups. So each group will have their own breakout rooms, and you can pose a problem, they discuss, they share ideas, and then you can reconvene and then discuss their answers. So you can also have some deliverables at the end of this breakout sessions. So students can submit something to you at the end. They can dictate, for example, anong sagot nila, or they can fill up a Google form habang sila po ay nasa breakout group. This is another way to engage your students. So I hope I gave you ideas on how to maximize engagement in your online classroom. So ang importante po kasi sa ating online classes is that we constantly communicate with our students and we build an online community. So there are 5 ways to connect with our students. First is that we interact. We set times for interactions. So we have to have office hours schedule, wag po by appointment. And then we stick to that schedule. It's very important that students interact with us. We also build flexibility. So as much as possible, be flexible. Kasi po, hindi lang tayo yung naninibago, pati po yung mga estudyante namin. So maging compassionate po tayo sa kanila. Create short, authentic videos. Okay lang naman na magkamali tayo ng kaunti. Okay lang po, hindi po perfection yung goal natin. Connection po yung ating goal. Pag po medyo may tumahol na aso, sabi nga ni Ma'am Katsi, or kaya may tuko, okay lang po yun. It's normal, it's natural. Hindi po natin minsan kayang i-control yon. But the key thing here is short videos lang po, mga 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. And then communicate. Always communicate with your students. Email, social media, gamitin po natin lahat ng ways para makapag-communicate sa kanila. Do this intentionally and do this a lot. And finally, it's okay to be vulnerable. Students are better able to connect with us if they see us not being perfect. Nagkakamali din tayo, and that is okay. It ties up to this part right here. Perfection is not the goal, it's the connection. So, meron akong final survey dito. So, just to maintain connection with your students, sometimes yung mga surveys po natin, pwedeng hindi academic related, pwedeng hindi po course related. So, punta po tayo sa menti.com. And I have this last poll. Kung ikaw ay makakalabas ng bahay ngayon, saan ka pupunta? So you can also have this as an icebreaker. You can do this at the beginning of the class para ma-break yung ice, mag-warm up yung mga estudyante. So menti.com, the code is 620099. 620099. Saan ka pupunta? Sa beach, sa mall, sa restaurant, magpapagupit ka ba? Or gusto mong bumalik sa 2019? If I will vote, I will go back to 2019. Okay, so a lot of us would like to go to the beach kasi syempre summer. Okay, so yan po yung Mentimeter. It's one of my favorite tools. Recently ko lang po siya natutunan, but it's very efficient and very effective as well. So just some key takeaways when you have your online class: maximize engagement. So I gave you tips on how to maximize engagement, build engaging and organized content. So sa pagbubuo po ng ating lecture, sa pag-record ng ating video, sa pag-organize sa ating learning management system, sa pagbubuo po ng modules, importante po na organize po yung ating content. Communicate often and show compassion. Kasi lahat po tayo naninibago. We are all pioneers in this new way of teaching at this time. So pinaka-final tip ko po para sa inyo is do not hesitate to ask for help. Kasi kung meron pong problema, meron pong solusyon. So wag po tayong mahihiyang magtanong. So kami po sa Department of Chemistry, we always meet via Zoom. We ask each other about new techniques that we've learned, new tips. We brainstorm ideas kung paano po i-carry out yung lab safely, and so on. So we build community by asking each other questions. And I also would like to commend my former colleagues from the Institute of Chemistry. We formed, when the pandemic hit, we formed our own Facebook chat group kasi we were all very nervous kung paano po ba mag-put together ng online courses. Some of us like me have experience teaching online. The other professors here, Professor Bogayan, Professor Mojica, Professor Chu, and Professor Lenorio, they all gave me tips on how to use technology, anong magandang gamitin at this time, ano yung mga pwede naming gawin para ma-enhance yung engagement ng ating mga estudyante. So these are my former colleagues from the UPLB Institute of Chemistry, and all of us are now teaching in the US. So we build a community. So again, asking questions and helping each other out, that will help us survive this difficult time. So our classrooms may be empty this coming semester. We will definitely miss our students. We will definitely miss interacting with our fellow teachers, but we got to do the best that we can. So ask help, attend these webinars that the KKP is hosting, the Institute of Chemistry and the Filipino Science Hub is hosting. So attend po tayo para marami po tayong matutunan. And if you learn something new and you find something new that works well with your classes, feel free to share din po with your colleagues. And at this time, just exercise patience, kindness, and compassion towards yourself and others. So, ayun po, sana po may natutunan po kayo sa aking munting webinar. Gusto ko po muli magpasalamat sa Kapisanan ng Kimika ng Pilipinas, kay Joseph San Pascual for inviting me, Filipino Science Hub, Dr. John Aguila, Dr. Jeff Bunkin, Institute of Chemistry, Ma'am Laksamana. Sa inyo pong lahat, marami pong salamat. Also like to acknowledge American University and yung nagbibigay po sa amin ng workshop and tremendous support during this time. It's the Center for Teaching, Research, and Learning. And you can contact me kung may mga tanong po kayo. And thank you for attending this webinar. I'm ready to answer some questions.
Ayan, thank you very much, Shelly. And napakarami naming natutunan ngayon. Ang gaganda ng feedback na nababasa ko.
Salamat.
Sabi ni Bon Ryan Ebron, this is the best webinar on online teaching daw na na-attendan niya.
Uy, salamat
Ayan,
po.
so, ayan. So, alam ko ang dami na pong lumalabas na questions dito sa Zoom and sa YouTube. Now, I will call Dr. Medjo and Aguila to facilitate the open forum.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Katsi. So thank you very much, Dr. Lansigan, Shelly. That is a very informative
Walang anuman.
presentation. Tama si Ma'am Katsi, ang daming very nice comments sa comment box. So to everyone, you can actually ask your questions live. I will acknowledge you. So pwede nyo pong gamitin yung raise hand button. Tapos po, tatawagin ko po kayo. Bibigyan po namin kayo ng chance para magsalita. And then you can also make use of the chat box in the Zoom or doon po sa mga nanonood via YouTube, pwede po kayong mag-message doon as well as po doon sa Facebook kung connected naman po kayo sa Facebook. So maybe we can start calling some people who raised their hand. So Miss Gretchen Balangge.
Hi, Gretchen.
Pwede nyo na pong i-ask yung question nyo, Ma'am Gretchen. Ma'am Gretchen?
Habang naghihintay tayo,
I-unmute nyo po yung sarili niya.
yep. Habang naghihintay tayo, Ma'am Daang, I just wanna acknowledge po, Ate Shelly,
Yes.
halos 2 oras tayong nakasession na, no? So yung participation po natin, nag-peak siya at about 630 na mga teachers po ang nag-dial at nakatutok po sa atin. So,
Salamat.
po sila.
Sana may natutunan kayo sa akin.
So kung hindi pa po available si Miss Gretchen, maybe we can call on Zoren Rocaberte. You can ask your question na po kay Ma'am Shelly.
Hello po, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning po. Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle, for that very informative webinar po.
Thank you.
May ano lang po ako concern kasi po nasa remote area po kami and then we are into blended learning which includes modular po and online. However po, yung signal po kasi namin dito is very unstable po.
Yes.
Opo, so what's the best tip siguro po na pwede ko pong makuha po sa inyo? Thank you so much.
So mahirap yung sitwasyon na yan kasi for any online class to be successful, kailangan talaga meron tayong stable internet connection. So ma-advise ko, siguro para meron kang somehow one-on-one correspondence with your student, mag-set ka ng isang lugar, siguro kung saan sila pwede alam ko mahirap tong gawin, no? Pero kumbaga Facebook naman is very much common na halos lahat may access. So kapag may signal, send ng question. So ganun na lang siguro at this time kasi mahirap talaga yung internet connection. Siguro coordinate then with your local government units kung paano ma-increase yung signal sa inyong lugar. Alam ko mahirap pero wala tayong magagawa at this point So ang isa pang naisip ko na pwede mong gawin is merong isang siguro coordinate with your barangay or something like that. Siguro yung mag-designate ng isang lugar para pumunta yung estudyante, syempre may social distancing, just to basically ask questions. So medyo mahirap talaga at this point. I'm sorry, wala akong mabigay na maayos na kumbaga response sa tanong mo about that. Pero kasi kailangan nating i-push na magkaroon tayo ng maayos na internet connection sa ating mga lugar. So kung wala man, intermittent man yung signal, basta nagkaroon, just make sure that you are prepared to answer your students' question via email or sa Facebook or sa Instagram, kung anumang social media na pwedeng gamitin natin. I hope that somehow helped you.
Opo, thank you so much. Very big help po siya. Actually, siguro mag-i-initiate na po siguro kami sa LGU po dito sa amin. Thank you so much po.
Thank you very much, Soren.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Zoran. So we will call on next Adrian Mengito. So please just state your name and your affiliation. Saan school po kayo connected? I think anak to ni Ma'am ni Adrian Mengito?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello.
Ayan. Hello. So, tama po si ma'am. Anak po ako ni Mabel Mengito po.
Hello! Nako,
Hi
baby,
po.
batang-bata ka pa yata na nagtuturo ako.
Oo nga
I
daw po.
remember you.
Yes po. So, yan. So, I'm currently teaching at Christian School International. I'm sure you're aware po.
Graduate
So,
ako doon.
Ayun po. So, science high school teacher po ako ngayon doon. So, ang isa po sa main concerns namin talaga is how to incorporate laboratory aspects sa aming lessons. Lalo na po ngayon mag-hybrid learning po kami. So, ayun nga po, ang sabi nyo nga po sa talk nyo kanina is to incorporate nga po yung pag-develop ng skills. Yes po, yung mga skills na data analysis and interpretation.
So yun, but medyo magiging creative tayo pagdating sa assessments kasi wala tayong magagawa. Wala silang pipette, wala silang grad cylinder, wala silang instrument para gawin yung mga experiments na yun sa bahay. So we have no way to assess those skills. So we can work around that. What we can do is, bigyan natin ng data and teach them how to analyze data. Or kung halimbawa simple experiment lang naman, we can do home-based experiments which are safe. So we can still have them design their own experiments, they can still gather data, and they can still submit post-labs. So we just have to be really creative pagdating sa assessments at this time. And then maybe when they go back, when all of this is over, hopefully, then we can do remedial classes para ma-enhance naman yung skills, yung hard skills na kailangan na dapat natutunan nila kung nag-lab sila. Parang ganon. So we have to be creative pagdating sa assessment. So that's another webinar na pwede naming i-discuss in the future, yung pagka-craft ng assessments for online teaching.
Yeah. Thank you po.
You're
So,
welcome.
i-echo ko na lang
Thank
po
you,
sa
Adrian. So
teacher.
I will give the floor to Joseph to entertain questions posted in the chat box or in Facebook or in YouTube. Joseph?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Ate Shelly, for that very informative. Kahit ako talaga nag-enjoy ako makinig ng iyong
Salamat!
webinar. Ayan, so worth it ang ating pinagplanuhan for 3 months ba tayo nagpaplano?
Di naman.
Yeah.
Isang buwan lang.
Isang buwan lang ba? Anyway, so I have here, well, most of the comments in the chat box are compliments. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Po. Ayan.
Salamat
And then
po.
yung mga actually naitanong na kanina yung about sa modular learning. So I think nasagot niyo na yun. And then may isang question dito from Domingo Darius Simbahon. Hello po, yun pong lahat ng mga free OER sites na binigay, can it be accessed or ma-access ba siya kahit offline?
Kailangan nyo po munang i-download kasi pwede po siyang i-download via PDF. So kailangan nyo po munang ma-access yung materials, download po ninyo, and kapag PDF na po, you can access them anytime. So pwede po.
Ayun, so downloadable naman. How about po kaya yung mga let's say yung mga TED-Ed videos?
Yung TED-Ed, I think hindi. You have to have internet connection para ma-access siya. yung mga
I
TED
think what,
videos.
you can just embed the link, di ba? Tama
You
po
can
ba yun?
embed the link, oo. Pero kailangan pa rin ng internet connection para ma-view siya.
Mhm. Ayun po.
And TED ata po has a YouTube channel.
Yes, they do have a YouTube channel. Tama. May YouTube channel sila. At meron pa, aside from TEDx, isi-share ko rin yung sa ACS website, ACS Reactions. Marami rin silang videos na nagki-cater from grade school hanggang college para sa ating mga estudyante.
Ayan. So I hope nasagot po yung tanong ni Mr. Simbahon. Okay? Well, meron pong isa nag-post ng question dito but hindi siya maka-raise ng hand pero let's call her attention, Ma'am Daang, si Miss Veronica Pinana. Where is she wants to raise her hand. Kaya lang wala, hindi daw niya makita yung ano.
Hi,
Yeah.
Dr.
Hello po.
Michelle. Am I in?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm now in the Philippines, but I'm currently I have a contract in a Sino-Canadian school in China. So this is really informative, amazing, awesome. This is the first time I've joined the webinar, although meron po kaming learning management system sa Canada. Nova Scotia po ako, ma'am. Tapos talagang napakaano po ako, na-appreciate ko po yung ano nyo. Thank you, Sir Joseph and the Filipino Science Hub. Thank you for connecting me to Dr. Michelle. So, sa China po kasi, nag-online teaching po kami ng 1 semester. Actually, bago mag-lockdown, nandito po ako sa Pilipinas for winter break. Tapos umabot na po ng hanggang June 22 yung graduation. Ma'am, sa China po, aware po kayo, marami po kayong estudyante dyan, no?
Yes.
VPN po ang kailangan, ma'am.
Opo.
Ano po yung
Yes.
pwede nyong isuggest sa akin na yung parang mag-connect na gamit po ang VPN or gagamitin ng mga estudyante ko yung VPN nila to contact us?
So actually, hindi ako knowledgeable, sorry sa ganyan. Pero ang estudyante namin kasi, yung American University, what they do is they advise students kung paano gumamit ng VPN para ma-access nila yung websites. Kasi as far as I understand, wala silang access to Facebook. And I'm not sure kung may access din sila sa YouTube. Meron ba silang access sa YouTube sa China? I'm not sure. Pero yun po, medyo mahirap po siya kapag po ganon. So I think the best way that you can interact with them is through your learning management system. Parang yun lang po ang pwede kong ma-advise kasi kailangan po talaga ng VPN para po ma-access nila yung mga courses niyo. Nakatulong po ba ako doon? Pasensya po, hindi po ako masyadong familiar sa ganung
Shelly, nawala ka? O ako yung nawala?
Nawala po si
Wala
Ma'am
si
Shelly.
Ate Shelly.
Ayan.
Okay.
Audio.
Hindi namin ikaw marinig. Ma'am.
Ayan. Okay. Ma'am, pasensya po, hindi ko po masagot ng maayos yung tanong mo kasi hindi po ako knowledgeable pagdating po sa mga VPN. Pero I would advise na i-contact nyo po yung home institution ninyo kung paano po mag-deal sa ganong klase ng restrictions.
Medyo naghang si Ma'am Shelly.
Hello.
Video na lang ata.
Hello.
Am I back? Hello po.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Ayan.
Ayun. Right. Ma'am Daang, may raised hand pa tayo?
Yes, we do have 2 participants who want to ask their question. So I will call on first Maria Deneb Joy Ledesma Gisinga. Ma'am? So pakisabi na lang po ng inyong affiliation. Maria Deneb Joy Ledesma Gisinga. Pwede nyo na pong i-ask yung questions nyo kay Dr. Lancita. Okay, so maybe we can move on to another one. Miss Annelyn Bahalan. Miss Annelyn Bahalan. Bajalan. So, you can
Hello
ask
po,
your
narinig
question
po
to... Sino po sila, ma'am?
Hello po, Annalyn po, Bahalan.
Okay po. So, pwede nyo na pong itanong, pakisabi po muna kung saan po kayo affiliated right now.
Okay, good morning po. So I'm Miss Annalyn Bahalan, a college instructor. So science instructor po ako ng Baliwag Polytechnic College in Baliwag, Bulacan. So question ko lang po ma'am, ano po natin, how we're going to deal with the students na nawalan po ng connection during games or activities po tulad po ng Kahoot or any other learning sites po?
So pag mga ganyan, so that happens to me also. So pag ganyan na nangyayari, I have a backup plan. So kapag nag-fail yung Kahoot, ang ginagawa ko, bago ko i-launch yung Kahoot sa lectures ko, I have a backup slide para ipakita yon. And so what we do then is kapag na-disconnect, for example, I flash the slides and then the students can answer manually. So medyo mababago yung assessment, pero kumbaga at least meron kang contingency plan na nagamit mo pa rin yung question para ma-assess yung student learning.
Thank you po.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So, I think we can call on Maria Deneb Joy Gisinga again. Actually, she posted the question already in the chat box kasi medyo, ma'am, okay na po kayo? May problema daw yung internet connection niya. So I'll just read it.
Okay.
How to assess students' progress in a classroom setup.
So student progress, so I would suggest do low stakes assignments. So yung low stakes po na kumbaga formative assessments, wag po masyadong high stakes na summative assessments like exam. So low stake assignments like short quizzes, discussion boards. So kapag po yung mga responses nila sa mga low stakes assignments na yun, kumbaga since low stakes lang siya, hindi sila masyadong matatakot na magkamali kasi mababa lang yung points. And it's a good way to assess yung progress nila in the long run. So I would highly suggest low stakes formative assessments.
Okay. So last one. Mr. Mark John Nalaunan, sorry. You can ask your question to Dr. Lansigan. Mark John.
Hello po, good morning po. Hello po.
Good morning.
Good morning po. From Alabang po, San Roque Catholic School.
Hello
Science
po.
teacher po. Hello po.
Hello
Ano po, grade 9 po kasi ako. So medyo may problema po kasi ako sa sa simulation po. Since po grade 9 po ako, ang tinuturo ko po medyo more on core po ng biology. For example, dissecting of the heart. Ngayon lang po, ask ko lang po, ano po ba yung pwede nyo pong isuggest po sa akin na another website po for that pong po?
So kung hindi simulation, hindi mo magagamit yung simulations. Kung hindi simulation, marami tayo sa YouTube na mga pre-recorded videos na on this kinds of topics. So marami tayo dyan. I listed down a list of websites dun sa handout na ni-share ko. Maraming YouTube videos na nag-show kung paano yung dissecting ng heart and everything. Tapos dun sa ating OERs, Open Educational Resources, marami din dong resources kung like textbooks and exam questions as well, PowerPoint presentations, kung paano mo ma-relate yun sa iyong mga estudyante. But I would suggest kung hindi simulations, you can go to regular YouTube videos.
Saka po, ask ko lang.
Marjan, is that, do you have any other question?
Apo. Ano po,
Sige.
yung meron po kasi kaming LMS po, tapos po parang may workbook pong binibigay yung school. Isn't it okay lang po mag-work by hand po ba yung workbook plus the online po?
Pwede, opo. So yung pwede nilang, kumbaga yung workbook ipiprint nila tapos sasagutan nila manually. Is that what you're asking?
Hello? Mute si Sir Mark John.
Siguro
Okay po,
parang
ganun
ganun nga,
po.
Shelly.
Parang ganon. So
Ah.
yung workbook ipiprint nila, tapos sasagutin nila manually. Pwede as long as maibalik, may way sila para ibalik yun sa iyo. So
Opo.
there are so many ways to submit assignments. So pwede nga yung may mga estudyante ko, we have to be flexible. Kung minsan nakalimutan nila yung password sa kanilang LMS, pwede lang i-email sa iyo na lang, picturean yung kanilang workbook, submit sa iyo, email sa iyo, ganyan. We just have to be very flexible when it comes to these kinds of things kasi bago to sa atin, bago rin sa kanila.
Opo. Thank you po.
You're welcome.
Ate Shelly, meron lang isang
Thank you very much.
meron lang pong isang
Sige.
isisingit ko lang po mabilis sa Zoom. Nagtanong po is mahirap basahin yung pangalan. Sa tingin niyo po, ano po ang pwedeng gawin para ma-motivate ang mga students to answer their modules if modular lang po ang approach na napili muna ng school?
So grades. Yung kailangan natin ng constant communication. Kailangan natin silang i-push, kailangan natin silang i-track. So medyo extra effort po on our part, but that's the best that we can do. That's the least that we can do para po ma-survive natin yung phase na ito. So I know students, kailangan nilang matuto pala ng time management skills, organizational skills. Hindi lang ito skills na magagamit nila for your course, lifelong skills din to na magagamit nila in the future when they join the workforce. So kailangan po natin i-instill yon. So the way to motivate them is to really constantly communicate with them. Lagi po natin silang i-email, lagi po natin silang i-monitor, tsaka ita-track po natin yung progress nila. So pag nag-submit sila ng assessment, tapos mababa yung score nila, we should reach out to them constantly para ma-improve yung next nila na scores. So again, my answer to that is constant communication.
So,
Alright.
Shelly,
Uh-huh.
may
I still
tanong lang
have-
si Mabel.
Sige.
Si Mabel ba yan?
Si Mabel yung Belia doon sa pa-quiz mo.
Oy, Belia, you're number 1.
Bigay ka daw ng tips paano, kahit paano, mabantayan ang integrity ng exam. Meron daw siyang nakita sa YouTube how to hack iba't ibang Moodle test at ibang LMS.
Oh no.
So integrity ng exams.
So mahirap nga yung integrity. So ayoko maglitanya. Pero kasi we have to instill integrity sa mga estudyante natin. We really have to discipline them. So share ko lang sa amin kasi sa American University, meron kaming tinatawag na Respondus Lockdown Browser. So kapag nag-exam sila, they're locked down in that browser, tapos may camera para ipapan nila yung camera na i-show na kumbaga walang nakalagay sa kanilang mga tabi. So if you have that in your learning management system, then good. Pero yung pag-hack, ang masasuggest ko lang is make your assessments difficult to answer. So paano ibig ko sabihin doon? Huwag tayo mag-limit sa multiple choice, sa true or false, o kaya sa identification. Gawin nating essays, critical thinking. Kasi yun, mahirap kopyahin. So kahit alam mo yung tanong, kung hindi mo ma-explain yung sagot in an essay form, hindi mo masasagot. So it's also a way to protect the integrity of your exams and to also encourage critical thinking among your students. So sana na nasagot ko yung tanong mo, Mabel.
That's very nice, Shelly. Okay na yan kay Mabel. So
Okay.
I'll give back to Joseph para naman ulit entertain natin yung mga questions from Zoom, YouTube, or Facebook. Joseph?
Yes, thank you. I just have one question here from Miss Christy Rahon. Nag-stream siya via YouTube.
Oh, si Anne, is that you?
Christy Rahon.
Okay.
Ayan.
So may sis kami, si Christy, di ba?
Ayan. Anyway, so ito yung tanong niya. I am teaching in the basic education and one way to engage students is to contextualize our lessons. Can you suggest some resources or apps that can help us contextualize our lessons? Thank you very much.
So yung TED Ed videos na pinakita ko kanina, that is a good way to contextualize your lesson. So may videos doon to show kung ano ba yung, kumbaga, you're doing a lecture and to visually ma-contextualize nila yung lesson mo, the video will do that part. So these are short videos. Yung TED lessons that I showed earlier would be a good resource for you to try out. Yung ACS website, pate, they have a lot of short experiments there that are contextual in nature, and you can also use that for your classes.
Ayun. Alright, so I think na sagot naman. If I may add lang po siguro, kasi from our seminars before, nung mag-uumpisa pa lang ang K-12, so yung contextualization, very important. Let's say you add flavor to your lessons na nakarelate, let's say, sa lugar ninyo. What's unique to your area that is that you can include in your lesson. So wag po natin kakalimutan yung ganung bagay.
So feeling ko ngayon, kasi may COVID tayo, di ba? Feeling ko yung pagko-contextualize, more on magagamit yung COVID around us. So expect a lot of that in the next semesters to come.
Yes.
Actually, I just have one question po. Kasi yung nabanggit niyo sa simula kanina, when the lockdowns happened and when there was this very sudden decision from or guidance from your university na kailangan mag-transition into online teaching, you were provided with, the resources and the training that you needed.
We feel very supported. Yun yung nararamdaman ko.
Siguro po ate, yung tanong ko lang po, para po sa mga teachers natin na first and foremost, walang experience sa online teaching, those who might have felt that they were thrown out into the jungle na, kailangan yung gumawa ng...
bahala ka na dyan, parang gano'n.
So, where do you start, ate? How did you feel when you were starting? So parang nandun po sa emotional side kasi baka po marami tayong teachers dyan na intimidated. Parang paano ba ito sisimulan? Ang daming module, baka mahirap siyang gawin. Ano po yung mabibigyan yung tips?
So ang para sa akin, nung nagsimula ako, inisip ko muna kung ako yung estudyante, ano yung gusto kong matutunan, paano ko gustong matuto, na computer lang yung kaharap ko. So doon ko binis kung paano ko dinisign yung courses ko. So sabi ko, ayoko na hindi ko nakikita yung teacher ko. So I made sure that I made videos na kita ako. So kumbaga, think of yourself as a student and then expand from there. Kasi ilagay natin yung sarili natin sa position nila. Paano ba tayo matuto? Paano ba sila matututo? So yun yung advice ko doon. So that's where you start. And then you attend workshops, webinars such as these, ask questions, collaborate with your peers, and you can really exchange ideas. Mas marami ko natutunan actually sa mga colleagues ko. Kasi sila, parang kumbaga, same boat kami. So maraming questions from them, my questions from me. Ay, nagawa ko na yan. Ito, gawin mo. So dun ako nagumpisa. Again, think of yourself as a student and how would you learn kung ikaw ay nasa harap ng computer.
Salamat po.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Ma'am Daang, Ma'am Joanne, you can entertain first one live question. Then I have last two questions from the chat box. So sa'yo muna.
Okay. I'm gonna call Maria Victoria Migo Sumagang. You can ask your question to Dr. Lansigan.
Hello, good morning, Doc. I'm from UPLB, Department of Chemical Engineering.
Kilala ba kita? Kilala yata kita.
She's the daughter of Dr. Migo.
I know. Kinakapatid ka yata ng kapatid ko.
Apa. Ma'am, tanong ko lang po, kasi yung related po doon sa question kanina, any tips po on how to avoid cheating in online exams?
So online exams, I'm not sure how do you deliver your exams? Is it through your learning management system?
Yung second sem po namin, parang medyo cramp po yung approach, kaya through Google Classroom or through email lang po nag-send kami ng problem set, pero na-observe namin na hindi talaga maiwasan na may mga same answer solutions.
So ang masasuggest ko dyan, huwag niyong isend via email. Kapag Google Forms, restrict a time.
Shelly, wala ka. Ulitin mo ulit.
Wala pa po.
Wala pa rin.
Nawala.
Am I back? Hindi pa din?
Yes.
Ayan. Okay. Sorry, nag-unstable yung internet namin for some reason. So, going back to your question, wag niyong i-email yung exam questions kasi kakalat lang yan. Tsaka, they will find answers no matter what what you do. So, ang masasabi ko kapag Google Forms yung gagawin yung exam nyo, limit a time. Available lang siya from 9 to 9:30. Ganun lang. So, make it available for a short period of time. And as I mentioned, be witty with your assessments. We have to be very crafty pagdating sa assessments. I would discourage using multiple choice kung wala kayong lockdown browser or any exam, ano bang matatawag natin doon? Parang honor lock sa exams. Yung magandang way ng pagtatanong is through essays. Kasi mahirap kopyahin yun eh. Tsaka obvious na obvious kapag pareho kayong sagot. So kapag essays, parang i-elaborate nila yung way of thinking nila, mas ma-assess mo kung naintindihan ba talaga nila. So halimbawa, calculations, instead na by numbers, explain nila kung paano iso-solve yung problem and then put the number at the end. So halimbawa, nangopya sila, tama yung sagot nila na number, pero maling explanation, then you know na hindi tama yung pagkakaintindi nila. So I would suggest be crafty with your assessments, and if you're using Google Forms, restrict nyo yung time na available yung exam.
All
Is
right.
that okay?
That's okay.
Does that answer? Does that help you?
Yeah. I think so. Or maybe nagkaroon din siya ng problem with connection.
Okay daw.
Okay, so Joseph,
Alright.
your questions?
Yes, I'll be combining the questions kasi pare-pareho naman yung thought na ano. So, unahin ko na yung in relation to assessment. So, wait.
Separate webinar.
Siguro, oo, may separate webinar. Pero sige, anuhin ko na din, i-bring up ko na rin. From Rain, yun ang pangalan niya. Ma'am, doon po ba sa mga virtual quiz, maaari po ba natin masabi na valid po kapag yun ang ginamit natin to assess or grade mga pupils natin?
So
And
when
then,
you say...
So ko na rin ma'am, para isang ano na, any good sites for major exams or assessments?
Any good?
Siguro parang platforms where you can administer your assessment.
So pag-administer ng assessment. Sa amin kasi we use the learning management system to administer our assessments. But na isa kong natutunan sa colleague ko kay Dr. Bugayong, she proctored her exam using Zoom. So naka-Zoom lahat ng estudyante, and she has, I think, a Dropbox where students submit their answers at a particular time, something like that. So you can use Zoom to proctor your students. I-show nila yung calculators nila, pwede nilang i-go around yung area nila na wala silang ibang materials doon, and then just have them submit their responses on time. So that also answers Marivic's question, I think, kanina about dun sa assessments. What was the other question, Joseph? Is it about the virtual quizzes?
Yes, I don't know kung lalaki ba to or babae, hindi ko ma-decipher sa name. Pero ang tinatanong niya, valid po ba, I mean, to use those kinds of assessments?
So, it depends upon what you are assessing. So, depende so kung ano yung ina-assess mo. It will depend on your learning outcomes and your learning objectives. Sa akin, ang gusto ko lang malaman, for example, is if I'm discussing stoichiometry, naiintindihan ba nila kung paano mag-convert from mass to moles, moles to mass, di ba? That's a one-step calculation. So, madaling gamitin dun yung Kahoot, yung virtual quizzes na ganon. So, I could use that as pwede kong gawing graded, pwede ko ring gawing hindi graded. So, it depends upon yung learning outcomes po for that particular topic.
Yeah.
But it can be valid, it can be hindi valid. It depends upon what you want to come out of your, kumbaga, what you want to come out dun sa experience with your students.
All right, thank you. By the way, yun pong questions, so galing siya kay Rain, and from Miss Irene Sanchez, both streaming via YouTube. And then ito po yung last two questions, pero pagsasamahin ko na kasi related naman sila. From YouTube din ito. In public institutions, is there a possibility as the teacher to make our own LMS? As I understand, LMS kasi ay for subscription.
Yeah.
Or,
meron namang libre, I think. Kasi yung Google Classroom, I think you can make your own Google Classroom, and that is free. So I think you can. Kung gusto mo, pwede mong gawin yon. There are I think Moodle is also free, I think. So for your class, pwede kang gumawa ng sarili mong course page. para merong repository yung students mo to, meron kang repository to deliver your content for students to interact with your content as well.
Yeah. Opo. Although may sinunod siya na statement, especially for those who cannot connect to the internet. So I think very limited talaga.
It's very limited. Kung walang internet po, it will be very
Opo.
limited. It will be very hard. So yun po, kailangan nating i-push yung ating LGUs na tulungan tayo to boost our internet reliability.
Yes, opo. And in relation to that, so this is the last question from YouTube. From Miss Jennifer Mangalindan, pwede po ba kayo magbigay ng mga strategies in implementing distance learning? Siguro aside from LMS, are there other ways by which we can implement distance learning? Ate Shelly, wala pong
Shelly, we can't hear you.
Right.
In 5 minutes daw, bigyan natin ng time.
5 seconds lang.
Wala
5
pa
seconds
po ate, wala pa po.
Maybe you could, sa bagay, baka kasi yung camera, ano eh.
Am I back? Okay. Okay. So ano nga yung question? Okay, so yung LMS. So pwedeng yung modules, we can also utilize social media. Kapag i-rephrase mo ulit, Joseph, yung question, can you refresh me dun sa question ulit?
Pwede po ba kayo magbigay ng mga strategies in implementing distance learning? Siguro aside from LMS, are there other ways by which you can implement distance learning or remote
So we
learning?
we can use social media. I think pwede rin gamitin yung mga platforms na ganito. Also yung mga TV channels natin. I think mag-release sila ng kumbaga parang science knowledge. I think parang ganon to implement this one. So pag wala po kasing internet, medyo mahirap. Pero for distance learning, if we have the modules and students have a way to get back to you yung mga responses nila, then that would be ideal as well.
All right. So I think yun na po lahat. Wala na akong nare-receive na question dito. Dr. Aguila, Ma'am Daang.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. Kung meron pa po kayong gustong itanong, siguro po pwede niyong isend sa amin sa KKP. We can collect it and then we will give it to Dr. Lansigan para she can respond to it. And then we'll share with you the response of Dr. Lansigan. Thank you very much, Shelly. I'm calling the moderator, Ma'am Patsy.
Yan naman. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you sa ating mga moderators from YouTube and Zoom. And of course, thank you very much sa ating speaker. Maraming salamat. Shelly at napakaganda.
Salamat din. Salamat.
Yung pagkaka-share. Ayan. So, na nagtatanong about the certificate. Ayan, asan ang slide? Pakilabas, Joe. Yan. So, evaluation form and certificate of participation dahil alam natin ngayon na marami sa ating nagko-kolekta ng certificates. Link for the evaluation form will be posted in the FB page of the Kapisanang Kimika ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog. So, punta lang po kayo doon. Accomplish the evaluation form via Google Forms. Link will be active only within 24 hours. So, make sure na within 24 hours ay mag-accomplish kayo. Certificate of participation will be sent through email within 7 days. So, wait lang po tayo. Okay, please like the KKPST Facebook page to get updates for future seminars and other activities. Marami pa po kaming naka-line up for you.
Ma'am Katsi, excuse me, idadagdag ko lang po, yung recording po ng ating webinar will be available for viewing on YouTube. So we will be also posting the link in the Facebook page, both of KKPST and Facebook page of the Filipino Science Hub. Right. And then clarify ko lang din po, yung si Ma'am Shelly po, she compiled the list of OERs, of websites, of online poll platforms na pinakita niya. And then, kinompile niya sa isang document. Pag in-email po sa inyo yung certificate of participation, Nandun na rin po yung link kung saan nyo ma-access yung list na yon.
May regalo po sa inyo.
Yes. Ayun po.
Yes, ayan. Ano pa? Joe, anong next slide dito? Meron pa ba?
The next slide.
Announcements from Field Sci Hub and KKPST. Ayan, may naririnig kayo sa background ko na merong nag-grass cutter. So, timing talaga. Ano pa? Ayan. So, ito naman ang inaabangan pa ng marami. Alam ko, dahil ang daming nabitin na tanong kanina about assessments. So, the next webinar we are preparing is the strategies for crafting assessments for online classes. Coming soon. So, kasama dyan ang iba pa, hindi lang si Shelly, but we have also the other faculty coming from the different universities in the US who are also Filipino colleagues here. Yeah. And then, what else? Sa PhilSci Hub, meron pa ba?
Okay. So ako,
Jeff, PhilSci Hub?
ako na po yung sino yun?
Nagahan na kaya.
Ayan. So,
okay, so ito po. So meron po kaming webinar sa August 1st. This is in collaboration with the Philippine Young Water Professionals. So it's an organization po that advocates for awareness about yung water sector naman natin sa Pilipinas. Kasi medyo ito pong field na to kailangan nila ng maraming STEM majors para po sa sustainability ng ating workforce sa Pilipinas kasi marami pong oportunidad at yung water sector po medyo taken for granted siya. So ito pong ating August 1st na webinar entitled Buhay Tubigero. This is a career orientation webinar na makakatulong po sa ating mga teachers para i-guide po ang students natin kung ano ba yung mga opportunities sa water sector. And we highly encourage all of you po to also invite your students, yung mga nasa senior high po siguro na nasa STEM track, na nagko-consider magpili o pumili ng major sa college. This will be a very useful webinar po. So yun po. Sana po maka-attend po kayo. So we do have the information po on how to register din po sa PhilSci Hub page. Maraming salamat po.
Yan. Thank you very much, Jeff. And with that, alam kong marami sa inyong nagugutom na. Pati kami, gutom na. At si Shelly ay antok na.
Antok na.
Yan. So, thank you very much.
Salamat
Have a good
po.
day. Yeah, thank you. Stay safe. And God bless everyone. Bye!
Maraming salamat po.